From the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia, this is CampusLore Live, presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined as always by my co-host, Aaron Murray, and we have two very special guests with us today. We've got Grady Jarrett, a NFL star defensive lineman for the Atlanta Falcons and a Clemson Tiger alumni, as you can see by his jacket. We've also got Lewis Nix here. Lewis was a third-round draft pick for the Houston Texans and a Notre Dame alumni, as you can see by his hat. This is the College Football Playoff Edition. Aaron, big weekend last week. Guys, I see you got your gear on. You got the Cotton Bowl matchup. It's the national semifinal game, Clemson versus Notre Dame, 2 versus 3 for a chance to play for the national championship. We'll break it down in a bit. Thanks so much for being here with us. Huge weekend in college football, Aaron. We know who's playing for the national championship.
Oh, no, we don't. No, we don't.
Well, we know the 4 teams.
We know the 4 teams,
yeah.
Yes. We know the 4 teams in it right now. And I know the spreads are a little high for both right now. I think
sure.
14, 13 as of right now.
Fair,
and I'm sorry, you put me by the Clemson guy.
Yeah, pretty fair.
I'm not saying I'm going to go with Notre Dame right now, but I think it's going to be closer than what Vegas is anticipating right now. I think all 4 teams are in there for a reason. They play great offenses, all of them. 3 of them play really good defense.
Yeah.
There's one that we're still question mark with Oklahoma. Can they play defense? Maybe Georgia kind of demonstrated what it takes to beat Alabama, or not beat Alabama, but make it a close game at least, and play good defense against Tua. But I'm excited, man. All the bowl games look great. The 4 in the championship games look like very, very exciting. So we'll break them down and have some fun.
Absolutely. 3 of the 4 teams in the college football playoff are undefeated. 2 of them represented right here, Clemson and Notre Dame. They will play in the Cotton Bowl, as previously mentioned. Grady, undefeated Clemson. I mean, this is the new norm for Dabo Swinney and the Tigers. A great season. They capped it off with a dominant victory in the ACC championship last week. They've earned it.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. You know, they've got their 4th ACC championship in a row. It's definitely become the standard. You know, greatness, being the top of the program, being the top of the country is something that was in the building for a long time. But they've maintained pretty well these last 4 years. And I feel like, the best ball is still ahead of them.
Absolutely. You'd hope so, too. Lewis, Notre Dame, undefeated. Notre Dame is a national brand. Everybody thinks about Notre Dame when you think about college football. And they did it. They did exactly what they needed to do throughout 2018. They took care of their schedule. And look, their schedule is what it is. They played the games that are set up, and they won every single one of them. They didn't play in a conference championship game because they're not in a conference, but they're 12-0. And they're going to the college football playoff. You played in the BCS championship back in 2012. You guys were undefeated then as well. A very special season in South Bend.
Yeah, it was. It was a great season. Had a lot of great players. And I feel like the team this year, they bring a lot of that to the table, but on both sides of the ball. Offense, they can score points. Defense plays well, especially in the second half. I think they can compete with Clemson all day, every day.
Absolutely. So there's 4 teams in, right, Aaron? I mean, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Do you think that all 4 teams have a legitimate shot to win the title?
I honestly do. I really do. I think obviously there's some favorites. I think Alabama and Clemson come into this right now as the heavy favorite just because the elite offenses, very good defenses. I think Notre Dame is probably number 3 right now, in my opinion, with a complete football team. They're playing great offense, like you said. They're playing really good defense. They got a good special teams. There's really nothing you can pick and say Notre Dame struggles in this area. But Oklahoma, you can't. Oklahoma, that 4-team, good offense. We know how exciting they are. And then the defense, you can poke a ton of holes with that defense right now. Played better versus Texas this past weekend, which is a good sign for those guys heading into the playoffs. But listen, all 3 teams are good. Any given day, you got a month to prepare for these games. Gives the coaching staffs, the players, plenty of time to digest the information, break down the film, learn the plays for that game, and hopefully go out there and execute.
Yeah, and get healthy. And Lewis, you mentioned pre-show, you said there's a way. There's a chance that Notre Dame can make this happen, win the next 2 ball games, and win a national championship. What would you say your confidence level is in that right now?
My confidence level is there's been a lot of distractions since the beginning of the season. The scenarios always change every W we get. It went from Brian Kelly possibly getting fired to Michigan's going to knock Notre Dame off to, they're overrated. We win all 12 games. Now they don't have a conference championship. But it's 2018. We know a team can win a national championship without a conference championship.
Hey, I like how he said it. That's
it's proved last year.
It is absolutely proven.
Alabama sat in their butt all last year during SEC championship weekend.
They did.
They got in, took care of business. They were one of the best teams in the country. We all knew they were, and I agree. I think Notre Dame is one. They've proved it every single week. good competition, bad competition, whatever it is, you can watch that football team and say Notre Dame deserves to be in here. Maybe they didn't play the best competition. I mean, how good's the ACC? I don't know. I couldn't say the ACC is one of the top conferences in the country either. I mean, you guys were at home and they were playing Pittsburgh, so that's might as well be, chilling at home anyways.
Well, you're leading me right into it. You're going to tell the people what I believe in college football right now.
That's how you feel.
So let's jump right into it, Aaron. This is Believe It. This is Believe It. This is where we state what we believe to be true in college football. Believe It is presented by Geico. You won't believe how easy it is to switch and save hundreds on car insurance with Geico. Believe it. All right, well, this is it. I mean, we've got to make a statement here, and hopefully they come true. Mine have definitely come more true than false throughout this season. There's been a few wrong. I said I thought Notre Dame would lose a game. They didn't. They're in the college football playoff. Grady, I'll start with you. What do you believe to be true in college football right now?
Right now, I believe for my SEC brothers, my independent brothers, that no matter the conference, that the Clemson Tigers are the best football team in the nation.
I like that.
Excuse me, the national, but in the nation, and it will be proven. I'm sorry y'all got to be the first to experience that. You know what I'm saying? And sorry that y'all can't even experience that. So I believe it that we're gonna handle business.
Absolutely. All right, Lewis. Grady just laid down the gauntlet right there. What is your response? What do you believe to be true in college football right now?
I believe that he's not telling the truth. And with that, I believe Notre Dame will prove all the doubters wrong like they always have done this whole season. We're going to win it all.
All right. Wow. Well, that's a strong statement, but it could come true. Aaron, I'm going to steal the shine here.
Go.
You're going to get the last Believe It. I believe it when I say, and this is not a push for Georgia. I know I went to Georgia. I don't think Georgia should have gotten into the playoff.
Here we go.
But believe it when I say that Alabama and Notre Dame play by a different set of rules. Those are the only two schools in America that don't have to play in a conference championship game and can still get into the playoff. I don't think that if Georgia only lost to Kentucky and didn't play in the SEC championship, I don't think they would have gotten into the college football playoff. And I don't think if there was a Big 12 team or a Big 10 team that didn't have the opportunity to play in their own conference championship game, that they would have a road into the college football playoff either. I think they're two name brands. I think for whatever reason, the committee is scared of the backlash that they would get if they didn't include them when the opportunity is there. Notre Dame and Alabama play by a different set of rules, and the college football world just has to sit back and watch.
I don't hate it, but Alabama's proven year in and year out for the past 10 years that they are the best team.
I hear
or
that.
one of the best. I think they have a track record.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it's taken into account here. Of what have you done for me lately? And every single year, Alabama's winning, whether it's the BCS, the playoffs. So I think that's them a little bit more than Notre Dame, or a little bit more deserving at the end of the day if they didn't make it to their conference championship, which we know they did and won. I believe it when I say that the current system is not going anywhere. Those fans who want 8 games, you want 8 games, you think it's going to solve all your problems, it ain't happening. ESPN is in control. People talk about the playoffs all year long. In the summertime, week 1, week 4, week 7, every single week you talk about it because it means so much more. Making it into the Final Four means something. You can't tell me when you watch Georgia, Alabama this week, Georgia lost. That was their opportunity. We talked about it.
Absolutely.
That was their opportunity to get in. They didn't take advantage of it. They're not in. You can't tell me watching Washington in the Pac-12 championship that Washington deserves an opportunity because they won their conference to be in the Final 8. It doesn't make sense to me. That team is not good enough to go toe-to-toe with Alabama, to go toe-to-toe with these two schools. 4 is the number. I love it. It's fun. It makes you work a little bit harder each and every week, and I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon.
I agree with you 100%. That might be the first time I've agreed with you on a Believe It segment, but I like 4 also. I think that's the right idea. I just have a problem with the committee, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But big news this week in college football, Urban Meyer out as the head coach at Ohio State. He is saying that he is going to retire after the Rose Bowl game, and I do air quotes when he say retire because he's done it before and resurfaced at Ohio State. What are your thoughts here? I mean, there was grumblings about his health having an effect on how Ohio State was preparing week in and week out. Obviously, there was a lot of off-the-field issues before the season started as well. But after the Rose Bowl, he will no longer be the coach at Ohio State. Interim head coach from the beginning of the season, Ryan Day, just signed a 5-year contract. He's going to take Ohio State forward.
I think this is the best thing that could happen for everyone, honestly. I mean, you look at Ohio State this year, the up, the down, the up, the down. It started from this summer with the scandal that went on with their assistant coach. So I think this is great. I think it's huge. And I said it, I thought they should have got rid of Urban from the very beginning. I mean, I thought it was going to affect recruiting during the season, into the offseason. And I think now you can put it behind. Michigan, all their competitors can't say, oh, you want to go to Ohio State? You want to go with Urban Meyer over there? Have you not read the news of all the stuff that he's done, even dating back to his time at Florida? So I think this is going to help them. Ryan Day's obviously proven to be successful as a head coach. He led them in the summer, into fall camp, and then the first 3 victories. So I think they picked the right guy. Urban needs to focus on his health, getting healthier, but I'm with you. I mean, who knows? I mean, he gets healthy in 2 years, maybe goes and does a little ESPN or Fox or whatever it may be. I could see him jumping back in 2 years. I think he's fiery. I think he's a competitor, and he wants to be out there coaching. And like I said, if he gets healthy and figure out what's going on with himself, I could see him back on the sidelines.
Lewis, do you think this will have an effect on Ohio State's preparation for the Rose Bowl? They're going to go out west, take on Pac-12 champion Washington. Knowing that Urban Meyer's last game, do you think they'll be more fired up to play and want to send him off right? Or maybe there's just a lot of uncertainty in the air and they could have a bad game?
I can't speak for Ohio State, but if they prepare like Notre Dame, they'll be fine. Take it a week at a time. 1-0 every week.
Absolutely.
The Notre Dame way, baby.
Yeah, I mean, he's stumping from Notre Dame right now. Grady, what do you think? I mean, I don't think you ever had to deal with a coaching change in college, but these things happen, and it's a big locker room. There's 125 guys in there. I feel like a lot of people can get pulled in a lot of different directions.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it could be a distraction, or like you said, it could be a thing where guys want to send them off right. I think regardless of the fact whether he, is going to leave or come back, I think they're going to go out there and play hard. They got a team full of guys who, have aspirations to go on and play at the next level and do things like that. So I feel like guys may have their own, motivations to go out there and play well. Because at the end of the day, it's about the players on the field, to me. And the coaches good coaches remind the players that as well, So I feel like they want to go out there, play hard for each other. And, whatever, Coach Meyer got going on, in his personal, professional life, will feel like he got to step away from the game for a little while. I think he'll be back. But, that's kind of something separate. But these guys have worked all year, all long. And for them to let something like that take away from their shine, their time to play in a big bowl game against a good opponent, it'll be a shame. So I think they'll go hard for each other regardless of whatever happened with Coach.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State is certainly a blue blood program in college football, but Urban Meyer raised the expectation there. I mean, they only lost 1 game this year. They won the Big Ten championship, and you would think it's like a down year because they're not in the college football playoff. Speaking of the college football playoff, we know the 4 teams, as we mentioned in the show open. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Clemson. Number 3, Notre Dame. And number 4, Oklahoma. Do you guys think they got it right? There was a ton of suspense Sunday afternoon when they were going to announce who the 4th team was. I mean, even Kirk Herbstreit on ESPN said that he thought Georgia should have jumped Notre Dame in bed number 3 after their SEC championship showing. Notre Dame should have been 4, and Oklahoma and Ohio State, the Big 12 and Big 10 champion, were left out. Now, here's the gray area. The committee says that they're going to put the best 4 teams in the college football playoff, but then they backtrack when they announce them and say, well, these were the most deserving teams. I think the committee had an out to put in the teams that would give them the least amount of backlash, right? Aaron, what are your thoughts here? I mean, I know we could talk about it for 2 hours straight, but these are the 4 teams, and these are the 4 that are playing in the national semifinals.
I think 1 through 3 I feel very good with. I feel good with Alabama, Clemson. I feel really good with Notre Dame. You know how I feel about Notre Dame and the Fighting Irish. They've done everything they need to do to get in. That 4 spot was a little bit up for grabs because I think we've all saw that SEC championship game, and Georgia looked like one of the best teams in the country. Sure. I mean, they gave it to Alabama the entire game. They should have won. I mean, with the missed field goal from Rodrigo, I'm not even going to bring up the fake punts, all that craziness. I mean, they should have won that game versus Alabama. They pretty much handed it to them and said, hey, we don't want it. You can take it and go on from here. But they didn't deserve it. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Georgia had their opportunity. And we talk about all the time, these games are somewhat like playing games. Yeah. I mean, this is, quote unquote, a playoff game. The SEC championship game is a playoff game to get in. They didn't win it. They didn't play well versus LSU. So you can't tell me that they deserve to get into the Final Four. They didn't take advantage of their opportunities to get in there. Best team, one of the top 4 teams or not, they didn't prove it, like I said, versus LSU, and they didn't prove it by finishing off Alabama.
No, you're totally right. And conference championship weekend is essentially the quarterfinals. I mean, you have to win that game to have an opportunity to get into the semifinal. But, Lewis, Notre Dame was sitting at home last weekend. They didn't even have to play in the quarterfinals. They pretty much had a bye and got in, sat at number 3, and they're undefeated. Now, you and I could go back and forth about that until the cows come home, but they're going to play number 2 Clemson in the Cotton Bowl, and you weren't part of the 2016 team, but they went 4-8 just 2 years ago. Brian Kelly really showing what kind of coach he is. They're undefeated. They're sitting at number 3, and a lot of people think they deserve it.
I think they do deserve it. We don't have a conference championship. Everybody knows this. We've been independent for I don't know how long, forever. So this is one thing we know as Notre Dame. So we meet the criteria that we know. Win all your games, 12-0.
Yeah.
We don't have a conference championship. You play for that 12-0. We see the committee has no concrete criteria of how to get into the college football playoff. There's nothing written down. We don't see meetings. We don't say, hey, put this guy over this guy. We don't see none of that.
Yep.
We just hear what they tell us, and we go with it. So we don't have a set of rules but to win, and we're in. That's all we know. When we went to the national championship 2012, no conference championship. But will we win? We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Georgia had no excuse. They knew if we didn't win this game, there'll be a coin flip whether we'll get in this Final Four or not. All they had to do was win.
No, you're totally right.
I mean, you need to be in control of your own destiny. I mean, Georgia was not in control. It's not a good feeling when you're hoping and praying and wishing.
Well, they were in control on Saturday before kickoff.
Yeah, they were.
Absolutely.
And then at the end of the day, they weren't in control. I mean, you want to be in control.
As far as Notre Dame, we're not in control until we get to the top spot.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you didn't believe in us at all until we got there. Then you don't deserve to be here. But all we know is we have to win. Yep. Without that conference championship, until there's like this makeup or some resume where a Big 12 team won all their games and got in or didn't get in, and somebody had that conversation with me then. But no team didn't get in because they won all their games and didn't have a conference championship. If a Big 12 team proved that, that'd be one thing. But they have a conference championship now. So all we know is get in by winning, beating everybody you can. That's it.
Absolutely. To your point, preseason, when you're looking at these schedules, you look at Notre Dame and you go, wow, that schedule's tough. They're traveling all over the place. They got a bunch of games to play. You look at Georgia's and go, that's a cakewalk. Well, they flip. You can't control that. To your point, all you can do is win all your games. That's what Notre Dame did.
And we have finals.
And they have finals, too. They will be the first ones to tell you that. That's for sure. Now, Grady, Clemson's the only team that's been able to slay the dragon. That is Alabama. They go undefeated again. If they take care of business, you would think that they get that opportunity again to take on the Crimson Tide. But they're sitting pretty, and it looks like they could have a really good matchup in that Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. You can't take no team lightly. And like you said, they can only play the schedule that they're given, you know. They're deserving of being in that spot. And like you just said, they had to beat good teams throughout the way. So I know for a fact that, you know, we don't take it like it's things that you can't control. There's not much point spending time talking about it, you know. And they deserve to be there. You know, we worked our way to be there. And, you know, they're the next team on the schedule. So we just got to prepare for it. I feel like it's going to be a really good matchup, though. But I definitely feel like the matchup is favoring, you know, our way.
Absolutely.
Just kind of based off, you know, just watching a little game tape and stuff like that. And,
the wise silent.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So that defense, you know, our defense pretty ferocious right now. You know, we're leading by Goldilocks itself, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I'm just playing now. I'm messing around.
No, absolutely.
But I think it's going to be a great matchup, man. I'm messing with Lewis, but it's going to be a good
For sure, and Clemson just absolutely throttled Pitt in the ACC championship game last week. Not too much to see there. They won 42-10, as we pretty much expected sitting here last week. Oklahoma avenged their only loss of the season. They beat Texas by 12 points, which I think was enough to get them into that 4th spot. Ohio State now, they struggled a little bit with Northwestern. They were only up by 7 points with 10 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. They pulled away. That wasn't enough, it would seem, for them to jump both Georgia and Oklahoma to get into the 4th spot. And then the game of the weekend, guys, the SEC Championship. I mean, you got Grady, you live here in Atlanta. Lewis, you're from the Southeast down in Jacksonville, so I know you were watching that game. What a game. Was that the national championship, Aaron?
No, that wasn't, because I think there's enough good teams in the Final Four that whoever gets to the national championship in San Fran, that is going to be an exciting football game. But I do think that Alabama was exposed a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Alabama's schedule and who they face this year, you can't tell me they face a complete football team. LSU is not a complete football team. Good defense, no offense. Mississippi State, same thing. A&M somewhat, I mean, but still not to the level that we know Georgia can play both offensively and defensively. So we knew this was going to be somewhat of a challenge. The fact that Georgia held on and was leading for the majority of the game, a little bit of a shock, I think, to most people. Thought it'd be close, but the fact that Georgia came out there, they established the run. They did pretty much what I told them to do. I mean, rush for, play off, play zone, frustrate Tua because he didn't have those one-on-one opportunities to take shots down the football field. And I tell you what,
coverage sacks, like you said.
Coverage sacks. I mean, these weren't the front four get in there in 2 or 3 seconds. I mean, it was 4 or 5 seconds. No one's open. Tua with his banged up knee couldn't get out of the pocket. So I thought the defense was great. I think they kind of showed Oklahoma possibly how to defend Tua and how to defend that offense. Georgia just didn't finish it, man. No. I mean, they had the chance when Rodrigo missed that field goal to go up by 3 scores. I can tell you that's the psyche of a team when you're up by 3 compared to 2. And we talk about all the time, 14 points.
So you're just going to blame the kicker?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to blame. You can't blame Rodrigo because Rodrigo's done his thing over and over again.
No,
but
I understand.
14 points, and you guys probably know too, 14 points is the most dangerous lead in all of any football. Pee-wee, middle school, college, professional. When you're up 14 points because you feel good, but all it takes is one play, and then you're up by 7. And then all of a sudden you get tight.
That momentum switch.
And then the other team feels good.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what happened compared to being up by 17. And they get up by 17, I think it's a ball game. I think it's completely over, and Georgia's now into the playoffs.
You mentioned those coverage sacks, and Alabama had not been vulnerable in that situation before. When you watch the film on these guys, I mean, there are 5 NFL offensive linemen on there. Those bodies up there, they're extremely good. And Aaron, as a quarterback, you might say that the quarterback was holding on to the ball too long. Well, we can ask 2 D tackles right here. Was the front 4 for Georgia really doing their job and winning those one-on-one matchups to affect Tua, or did you think Tua was holding on to the ball too long?
I think it could have been a combination of both. You know, usually rushing the passer, you know, the ball usually going around 2.5 seconds. You know, so when they get past that 2.5 second, past 3 seconds, any offensive lineman gonna have struggle. You know, taking care of the quarterback for that long. And I mean, and like I said, like to your point, you know, Georgia was up, but I think also to Alabama point for that game, they still found a way to win, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of been, you know, their staple. Even when they beat Clemson the first couple years back, the year after I was gone, they found a way to come back and win the game, you know? So it was like a team, you got to put them all the way out, you know? So you can't let a team like that catch breath, like you said, man. That 14 point is dangerous. So I just feel like, you know, with Alabama, you got to put them out. And then as far as in regards to holding the ball for a passer, I mean, you hold it past 2.5, 3 seconds, man. Any team, he gonna get got.
For sure. It seems like, Lewis, when Georgia ran that fake punt, it was a heavyweight fight up to that point, and Georgia flinched with the fake punt. And Grady, as you just mentioned, this is a team that will knock you out when they have the chance, and they did just that. They took a huge swing and knocked them out. But Jalen Hurts, which is a great story, we talked about it earlier this season, he stayed at Alabama. He didn't transfer, and he got his chance to vindicate that decision. Did it fantastically. He did what we've watched him do with a 26-2 record, Aaron. One of the more accomplished quarterbacks in all of college football, and he was a backup. He comes in, makes it happen. It seemed like the D-line had a really tough time containing him. He was able to roll out, extend plays, make plays happen. As a defensive tackle, when you look at a quarterback who's mobile, do you want to attack up the middle and really collapse the pocket, or make sure you set your contain guys there and keep them in the middle for you to take care of business?
You want all that. You want contain, you want pressure up the middle. And when Tua was in, Georgia did a good job. It's not their job. Their job is to stop him, and they did a great job of that. He ended up getting hurt, unfortunately. Then Hurts came in, and he did a great job of getting outside the pocket. Like Aaron said, Tua wasn't doing that the whole first half. He had a banged up leg, couldn't do much. Hurts came in, threw it down the field, got outside the pocket, made some incredible throws. But that's who he is. That's how he always has been. He's been one of the best quarterbacks that have come through Alabama in a long time. So I didn't expect anything less. Georgia was just Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, you can't.
That's a good point.
You can't tell me we go back and forth with the fake punt. If you make Jalen Hurts have to drive the ball, your punter's having a great day in Georgia. If you make Jalen Hurts have to go 90 yards, and I can tell you from a quarterback psyche, when you have to go 50 yards just to get a field goal, 50 yards or 20 yards to get in the field goal range, your mind saying, hey, I can run. We can run the ball. I could check it down. I don't have to throw the ball past 10 yards because we just need 2 first downs, kick a field goal, we win this game. Instead, you punt him, get inside the 10, force him to now say, hey, I got to push the ball vertically down the field. I got to throw the ball 10 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards. I got to get big chunks to get us into that field goal range. I think Tua could do it. I don't think Jalen could have done it. And then Georgia, all of a sudden, you get a 3-and-out possibly.
Yeah.
Mecole Hardman's one of the best punt returners, maybe the best punt returner in all of college football. He gets you good field position, and then you give Rodrigo another chance to win the ball game. So the fake field goal may have been one of the worst calls. I'm like, oh.
It was a failure in situational football. There was 3
minutes
minutes left. Georgia had the ball at the 50-yard line. As a punter, you punt the ball down inside the 20. And when I say inside the 20, we'll take the 19. We'll take the 18. Just don't kick a touchback. Well, they faked it, and the thing that surprised me the most is Alabama had 3 timeouts left. A first down guaranteed absolutely nothing. It guaranteed absolutely nothing. So that certainly switched the game, Aaron, and that is why Georgia is not playing in the college football playoff.
And side note about not games but players, in my opinion, watching that game, one, bigger picture, I think Alabama is very vulnerable. They did not look elite that football game. But 2, I think Tua may have lost the Heisman, honestly. I mean, if I had to vote.
The odds switched in Vegas.
If I had to vote for Heisman this week, I would have to pick Kyler. And I've been on the Tua train all year, but the biggest moment, he didn't even look okay. I mean, he could have played okay in that game, and I think he would have won. He looked darn right awful. I mean, that was bad football from Tua. He was late. He was inaccurate. He was holding on the ball way too long, taking too many sacks. And Kyler Murray went out there and balled out versus Texas, and he's done that every single week. I think you got to give the nod to Kyler right now.
Yes or no question, do you think the majority of the Heisman voters had already cast their ballot?
No, I don't. I think that they understood, and that's the thing you worry about with the ballots.
That was going to be his moment.
Yeah, but I think people want to see what happens in these big time conference championship
All right,
games.
well, hey, we've got 2 alumni here of 2 of the teams in the college football playoff. I think I can take a pretty decent guess on who you guys are going to be rooting for later on in December, but I'm giving you Oklahoma. It seems like you like them. I'll take Alabama. I want, Grady, you to tell me first why Clemson's going to win the national championship.
I feel like Clemson's going to win the national championship because I feel like they're the most – between Clemson and Alabama, I feel like they're the most complete teams in the playoff. I feel like we have the ability to spread the field and run the ball with ETN very, very successfully. And on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like we got the best defensive line in the playoff. You know, Alabama got a really good defensive line as well, and but I feel like we're gonna edge out teams by the way we execute, and I think some of the struggles that we've had in the past gonna make us stronger to be able to overcome, you know, the doubters and overcome the almighty Crimson Tide if they get past Oklahoma. Like I said, we already dealt with that. You know what I'm saying? We done dealt with that. You know,
absolutely.
So you know, just like he about to say, they about to deal with us.
I'm gonna have to send between these guys. I have to do a little.
That's not gonna do much.
No. I don't know if I want to be in the
California. You're just gonna fly.
No, I know we got it's a process, but you know I know what's going on. You know, you feel
forget Dallas, go to Cali right
Lewis,
now.
go right ahead and take it. Why is Notre Dame going to win the national championship?
Staying focused, seeing everything like we saw it every week. Opponent has no face. We don't care if it's Clemson, Alabama, FCCJ, you know, Slippery Rock. We don't care.
Okay.
We're giving you all we've got every week. We're a great second half team. We have a great defense as well. Great defensive line.
All you got may not be enough.
All-American linebacker, All-American quarterback, Coach of the Year. We have all that.
Paper look real good.
It does look great.
You got to step
that
lines,
point
baby.
spread looks amazing, but guess what? We don't see it. We don't see it.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, he's got great points. Aaron, Oklahoma's playing Alabama. I'll represent Alabama here, and I'll just tell you right now, Alabama's going to throttle Oklahoma. We'll break down the game here in a little bit, but Oklahoma has no defense. Alabama is a complete team. If Tua stays healthy, I think it's a no-brainer. I don't think they want to get into a boat race with Oklahoma. They're going to want to slow the game down, play some defense, try to contain Kyler Murray, but Alabama is so proven, and like you said, they are the standard in college football. Alabama has yet to be slayed this year, and I just don't see it happening with the other 3 teams.
Alabama's
going to win it all.
I have my Oklahoma hat on right now, And I got to give you some reasons why Oklahoma wins this football game.
Please.
I think, like I said, the blueprint was shown how to beat Alabama. And you talk about Tua's injury right now. And is he going to be healthy enough to go out there? And we saw how frustrated he was when he could not maneuver on the pocket, when he was contained to just being a guy that sits in the pocket, goes through his reads, and also just show you that don't play man. If you want to play Alabama, don't play man coverage. Play zone, drop 7, drop 8, force Tua to get frustrated just checking it down, little get to the back, little scat routes, stuff like that. He's going to want to take chances. He is. That's just his nature. He's a guy that wants to throw the go ball, wants to throw the post, wants to throw the daggers. If it's not there at times, he's going to try to make it happen. That's when Georgia took advantage of it. I think that's how Oklahoma wins this game. Playoff.
You're talking about Oklahoma's defense?
Oklahoma's defense. You got to give. I mean, yeah, they got to play defense at some point.
Yeah.
Playoff.
They better find it quick.
They got to play off. Don't play man to man because you'll get burned against Alabama if you want to play to man. And then look at Alabama's defense. I mean, they got torched by Georgia. They really did. I mean, they did not look good at all. Now you put Kyler Murray, possibly the Heisman winner, a guy that can throw it, a guy that can run it. They got athletes on the edges. I think he can do enough. Like we said, I mean, when's Alabama been tested defensively this year?
Just last week.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, they really have not been tested this whole year. We talk about this almighty defense. Yeah, they look great, but anyone can look great when Nick Fitzgerald's the quarterback.
Yeah, and a lot of preparation.
And when
LSU's,
yeah, exactly. So I think Oklahoma has a chance to put some points on. And like I said, I think the blueprint defensively, how to stop Tua and his guys, has been shown.
All right, well, let's preview these two games that are going to determine who plays for the College Football Playoff National Championship. And we will start with the Cotton Bowl, obviously, because we got Grady and Lewis here. It's number 2 Clemson against number 3 Notre Dame. And Clemson's a 13-point favorite here, Aaron. And I would have to say, off the top, Clemson's 3 previous college football playoff appearances are a huge advantage for the Tigers. And Lewis, you can tell me about how great Notre Dame's season's been, but none of the guys on that team have any experience in a big-time atmosphere like this. I think Clemson walks in, Grady, into Arlington and just says, this is where we belong. Now let's let the Tigers eat. What do you think's going to happen?
I don't want them to fall into that trap of thinking because they've been there before that they can just walk out there and win the game. I think like every moment's a new moment, but the guys who've been in that arena multiple times, like a lot of guys on the defense, they'll have some comfort, but it'll be our quarterback first time and a couple guys on the offense, a couple young receivers, but I don't think the moment will be too big for them. But I don't think that they need to fall into the trap that the past is going to win them games in the future. They'll have to definitely come to play. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, Etienne, those wide receivers. Notre Dame's got a great defense, but they got a huge challenge on their hands. And just speak as a defensive player, having 3.5 weeks to prepare for such a big game. You got a lot of tape to break down. You know exactly what you think will happen when the game kicks off.
I think just that long period of time, you're just anxious to hit another quarterback. You know, you won't be able to touch your quarterback. You won't be tackling much. Everything might be half rack at Clemson. But you'll just be so anxious and ready. But for them, I think they'll be settled. I think they'll lock in. I think they'll be ready like every week because we have to see it. This is just another game. On the outside looking in, it's this big time game to us. It's another game. We have to make it that way because if we fall in that trap, seeing Clemson as this big dog and we get bit, that'll be us.
Do you think that's the mindset brought on by Brian Kelly, or is that more of a team mindset, every single week, faceless opponent?
I think that mindset has evolved as he's been at Notre Dame. At first, we had to learn about it. Then we had to make sure everybody just absorbed it. Everybody was a sponge. And then after that, it was just natural. You just unconsciously just are that person. And we've gotten to that point. They had a terrible season this season before, but they locked in. They know the team they have, the players they have. We had a situation with Ian Book and our starting quarterback with Wimbush. We locked in as a team, overcame all the adversity and all the media telling us, hey, how are they going to make it? How are they going to do it? And they did it. So that's how we got to keep saying it.
How do you think Notre Dame wins this game?
How do you think?
No answer.
I hope a blowout. I'm hoping a blowout.
No answer.
I'm hoping a blowout. But I think on the offensive side of the ball, I think as long as we don't let them come out in the first half, our second half defense and offense, we do a great job. If we contain them in the first half, just make it a manageable game, be up by a couple touchdowns or 3.
So
that'd be great.
Close game.
But I don't think it'll be a shootout. I think it'll be a close one. Offense will probably decide it. I think defense will come up with enough stops, so the offense will put up enough points. I think special teams will be big as well.
Well, hey, clamping down in the second half, I mean, that's the sign of a championship team. And Aaron, I want you to tell me about a few key matchups that you see happening in the Cotton Bowl.
Well, it's going to be Clemson's secondary. You look at Clemson this year when they face teams that could throw the ball, A&M and South Carolina, and the points both those teams put up against
You're
Clemson's
talking
team.
wide open receivers, too.
I mean, wide open receivers. And with Ian Book, Boykin at the outside, talented running back. I mean, this Notre Dame offense has the ability. I mean, shoot, I think Ian Book should be in New York right now. I think he should be the number 4 guy for the Heisman. I think he's that good, and especially getting his guys open down the field and manipulating defenses.
He turned the whole season around.
He really did. So I think that's how they win this game. Expose Clemson's secondary. And then for Clemson, what you're going to have to do to protect those guys, you got to be, I mean, those 4 guys up front, you said this, they got to eat. Those 4 guys up front, they got to earn that draft spot this game right now. Because if you give Ian Book 3-4 seconds, I think he's good enough. He's shown all year he can pick apart Clemson's defense a little bit. And then I want to see Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we talk about this kid, Goldilocks, beautiful hair, great arm.
Sunshine.
Big sunshine.
Oh, big
and we
boy.
talk about the ACC, and we talk about ACC defenses. And the competition you face each and every week in the ACC, it's easy to win games when you're supposed to win by 20 points or 28 points. And when your running back's dominating, now you face a good defense. The lights are bright. The nation's watching you. Does he get tight? He's a freshman. That's going to be the key right now. Can he put aside all that BS, all the nonsense, all the lights, all the hype for 3 weeks, focus on what he needs to do, and go out there and play like he's played all year, because this is going to be the biggest moment that he's played in his entire career. So that's why does he make mistakes or does he play excellent? And then, like I said, for Notre Dame, can they expose Clemson's secondary like we've seen Clemson's secondary be exposed this season?
I think if you can keep Trevor Lawrence upright and protected in the pocket, that the moment won't be too big for him. And Etienne, I mean, he has had such a phenomenal year establishing Clemson's run game that sets up the pass. And then the defense, you got to let the front 4 eat. I understand the secondary's troubles. I watch it. I see it. I think the 3 weeks preparation certainly brings in the factor that Clemson's going to win this game, and they're going to win this game handily. I think they take care of business and get into the national championship. Aaron, tell me your score and prediction, then we'll throw it to the guys.
My score, oh man, I feel like I'm going to get
They're just staring at you.
I'm going to get beat down one way or the other.
I can't help you there, buddy.
Oh man, I think Clemson is a better football team in this game. I think their front four is going to be able to get some pressure on Ian Book. I just think they have too much firepower on the offensive side too for Clemson. I think it's going to be closer though. I think what's 13, 14 points in Vegas. I think this game is 35-30.
Okay.
I really do. I think Notre Dame, I've been a big fan all year. They are a complete football team. I mean, they have good offense, good defense. I just don't think they have as much firepower as, say, Clemson does.
All right, you guys wrestle to see who picks first. No, tell me, who's going to win this game? Lewis, I'll give you the floor. Number 3 Notre Dame against number 2 Clemson. What's going to happen? Who's going to the national championship?
Who's going to the national championship? The best team, Notre Dame. I think it'll be 28-21, close game. Defense shuts them out, second half. They go up 14 points for first half, We go up 21, keep the ball for a while,
That'd be a great game to watch.
Score a touchdown at the end, crush some dreams.
He's talking like it's the truth, Grady. What do you think's going to happen?
Honestly, man, I think we get to the Natty pretty comfortably. Not even trying to blow smoke. I'm thinking about 35 to 40 points. I'm thinking I'm gonna go 40-17. I think we kill them.
47-10.
40 to 17.
Oh, 40-17. Even better. I'm on Grady's side with that one. I think Clemson's really going to ramp it up and take care of business. It'll be a great game, though, regardless.
That's not a great game, 40-17.
It's a great game by my standards. I'm telling you that Clemson's going to win big. All right, the other game that's going to determine who gets into the national championship on the other side, this is the Orange Bowl. It's number 1 Alabama against number 4 Oklahoma. And here it's what gives, Aaron. I don't know how you could walk into this game and think Oklahoma's defense is suddenly going to show up and somehow slow down Alabama's offense. I watched the chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee, select Oklahoma number 4, and he said Oklahoma's defense has played better the last 2 weeks. Oklahoma's defense gave up 56 points to West Virginia. What is he even talking about?
First Texas, they got better.
Okay, well, tell me how Oklahoma's defense is going to slow down Alabama.
Go back to last year's Rose Bowl. It's just visualize this for a second. You got Georgia, you got Oklahoma. You have an Oklahoma offense with Baker Mayfield. You have Oklahoma offense this year with Kyler Murray, which I think this year's Oklahoma offense is actually better. And I would take last year's Georgia's defense over this year's Alabama's defense.
Yeah,
we saw what happened.
That's a great point.
We saw what happened in that Rose Bowl game. I mean, Oklahoma was winning, and Oklahoma doesn't do that silly squib kick at the end of half.
Yeah.
They go up by 3 scores into halftime. Oklahoma could win that football game and probably should have won that game based on the way their offense was playing. So, once again, they got a better offense this year. Georgia's defense last year was better than Alabama's defense this year. It just makes sense to me. It really does. And I think, like I keep saying, the blueprint of how to beat Oklahoma or beat Alabama to stop Tua and to stop their offense was shown this week. And honestly, I'm just not impressed with Alabama's defense. Straight up. I watched them this week, was not impressed. I'm not in love with them. I think Oklahoma with Kyler Murray and all the weapons he has around him, I think they can make some noise. I got Alabama winning.
Yeah.
I do. I think Alabama will get a couple stops late, but I think this is going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be fun. I think this is I think it's a 45-42 game.
Holy cow. You think Oklahoma can put up 42 points on Alabama's defense?
What did Oklahoma put up on Georgia last year? And once again, a better Georgia defense than Alabama defense this year.
I want you guys to tell me this. There's a lot of preparation and a lot of time that goes into these semifinal matchups. Aaron just mentioned it. Last year in the Rose Bowl, Oklahoma's first 2 drives, I don't even think the ball ever touched the ground. I mean, they were scripted and executed perfectly. On defense, when a team comes out hot like that, what are you guys thinking? I mean, you're in the trenches trying to make something happen. The ball's getting out so quick, and then 7 plays later, they're scoring, and then it happens again. What's the thought process as a D tackle and really a defensive leader when out of the gates things aren't going that well?
It's tough. It's tough. I'm gonna just discourage, and I wouldn't say demoralized because it's early in the game. But when people come out and they first 15 scripted and they hitting, and it's like you can't do nothing to stop it, and they 14, 21 points before you know it, it's like, all right, like we got to tighten up, you know. But when they haven't went into their bag of tricks yet, you know, when they just hitting you like that, so they'll just keep whatever working, and they're gonna keep up with it. And then you finally get onto that. Now they're gonna bring out the big boy stuff, you know. So it's like when they come out hot like that, it's definitely hard on you, especially as a big dude up front.
Yeah, there's no way you can deny Oklahoma's talent, starting with Kyler Murray. I mean, they've got weapons all over the field, Lewis. As a defensive tackle, when you look at Alabama's 2 interior guys, Raekwon Davis and Quentin Williams, I mean, those guys are beasts. How can they affect Kyler Murray starting out in the game and make sure they don't get those 15 scripted executed perfectly?
I couldn't even tell you. He's a great player. I mean, you got to stop him the best way you can. It takes everybody, you know, it takes a whole 11. If they can slow him down a little bit, I think they'll do a pretty good job. Like he said, that 15 scripted, if they can stay on the field. I've played against Oklahoma, and they went on like a 15-play drive, and I was dead tired. Hey, you know, if you keep them off the field, I think they'll do all right. If Alabama can stay on the field, control the clock, I think they'll be okay.
Absolutely. Aaron, do you think that's the key here? Because I need your prediction.
Well,
Alabama's a 14-point favorite.
I told you 45, but
42.
for Alabama, you said it right. I mean, they have to stay on the field. I mean, they don't want to go 4 plays to 4 play to 4 play. I mean, Alabama wants to do what Georgia did this past weekend. End of the first half, Georgia had the ball 20 minutes to Alabama's 10 minutes. I think that's what you need to do. Keep Kyler Murray off the field. So maybe for Alabama, it's not just come out there, throw. It's maybe run. Wear Oklahoma out, keep Kyler Murray on the sideline, finish the half, you know, that 20 possession time to 10 possession time, and then Oklahoma's defense we know is not very good, and then they're going to be worn out on top of that. So I think that's how you possibly win this game. But if Alabama goes out there and scores every 4 plays, I think Oklahoma can go out there and score every 4 plays too. So I think it could be a lot of fireworks in this game. I mean, no one has stopped Oklahoma this season, and I know it's Big 12 football, but still. Those guys are doing stuff that's tough to do on a Friday walkthrough.
Absolutely. No one stopped Oklahoma, but Oklahoma hasn't stopped anybody either. I just have a really hard time thinking that Nick Saban cannot draw something up with 3.5 weeks of preparation time to bottle up Kyler Murray. I think Alabama will score at will. I really do. Their offense has shined bright all season long, except 1 week being last week when their starting quarterback got hurt in the 4th quarter. I think Alabama wins this game handily. I mean, look, these are 2 very, very good teams, and Vegas has it as a 14-point spread. I think it goes up as the game gets closer. Alabama's scoring 40, maybe 50. I'll go 49-30 Alabama. Grady, what you got?
For the Alabama, I'm right there with you. I'm thinking around 40 to 20 something, like 45-24.
Absolutely.
24.
Lewis, what do you think? Who's going to meet
defense,
Notre Dame
man.
in the national championship game?
Oklahoma,
Wow.
42-28. The defense will step up for once.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a big game.
Okay. I hope you're right. We'll go
once.
viral. I love it. I love it.
I said it here first. Oklahoma.
Hey, he was texting with Tua's doctor before the show, getting an inside scoop with Tua. Maybe not be playing in the game.
Absolutely.
But that'll rock everybody.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. The college football playoffs are always fun, and a huge thanks to Lewis Nix for being here, Notre Dame alumni, and Grady Jarrett, Atlanta Falcon and Clemson Tiger alumni. Aaron, you do a good job as always. A special thanks to Geico and to the College Football Hall of Fame here in Atlanta, Georgia. When you're in Atlanta, make sure you stop by here. It does not matter what team you are a fan of. They will make this experience exactly for you. So for Campus Lore Live, I'm Drew Butler. We'll see you next time.